Hello, welcome back to the Guitar Plugin Shootout. Today we're dealing with what I think is the best overdrive there's ever been. You can either have that one, which I think is my personal favourite, or that's also absolutely gorgeous. But between these two, they always sat side by side in my pedal board, and they always kind of slightly annoyed me that they were both yellow because I always like to have colour distributions, but I had to have them both. They were always the second and third pedals that ever went into my pedal board after the CS2. And so I love Boss pedals, and I love these two in particular. And so when I came to do the shootout between these four products, I was really interested in what Boss Overdrive emulations they had. And so that's what we're going to go through today, the various flavours of OD and SD simulations. Now, the one that I've plugged in for the positive grid for starters is, I think it's an SD one. I mean, it could be an OD3. They have the same kind of configuration, but from the sound of it, and particularly by virtue of it being called Vintage Overdrive, and from the way it sounds, I think it's an SD1 simulation, but I do stand to be corrected. Anyway, enough of all of that nonsense. Let's just start listening to some stuff. That strummed chord at the end there, that's exactly what I want from Overdrive. I always like subtle settings. You can see that I've really dialed it back, and this is my preferred way to work with Overdrive. I'll use the distortion pedals. I'll leave the distortion pedals to deal with the distortion. But for actual warm crunch, I want a little bit. I want to be able to play the guitar such that you can't really hear it. Let's find my blues lick. Over here, it just sounds like a fatter, clean sound, and then you just get a little bit of break up at the top. So I really like this. Of all of the pedals that I've tested, spoiler alert, I think this is my personal overall workhorse favourite. You know, the thing that I'm likely to go to more often than anything is this one. We do have another offering, which I'm reasonably confident is an OD3 because that's what it's called. But let's hear the first riff again. Dirtier. Still really nice. It's kind of the payoff, that chord at the end. I didn't intend for it to be such a pivotal part in the test, but you really want to hear what it sounds like when you just leave the unplayed guitar to make tone, and it's got to be nice. So I think these have excelled. Obviously I've done lots and lots of testing here, and I'm only really giving you the TLDR, but this is where I think the bias will sit. This is it, the warm, mostly clean with a little bit of crunch sound. It's doing really well. Now the amplitude has a little bit more grit about it, a little bit more nastiness. Even when dialed really low, these pedals still have quite a bit about them. Now this, by virtue of the fact that it's only got two knobs, this is an OD1. That's the only one of the Boss family that only had two knobs. Again, I'm working on the presumption that this is an SD1, but who knows? I mean, does it really matter? Apart from the fact that it's yellow and shaped like a Boss pedal, it could be anything, but it's interesting to see, well, in each of the manufacturers' offerings of what's clearly a Boss emulation, what different elements of that family have you chosen to accentuate? Obviously nastier, but nice. That's a nice nasty. So I would imagine that this will be my go-to pair when I want that slightly dirtier thing. And let's move to a new one. Let's go over here. Obviously, I've just completely screwed my volume matching, but whatever. It's really good. I've always found through the years that less tone is more with Boss pedals. It seems to be an almost ubiquitous rule. I don't think I've ever turned a tone knob past 12 o'clock on any of the Boss pedals that I've used, but I just like the warmth. Standard caveats apply with the amplitude stuff, that it's got the room modeler on as well. Oh, just a quick note as well. As these guitar licks and riffs, or whatever you want to call them, are evolving, and as I write more of them, I'll upload these to my Patreon account. So if you want to head over to my Patreon site, I'll put a link down below. Now, when it comes to guitar rig, I've been left with no option other than to just go off piste. There's no direct Boss emulation here, so I've literally gone for colour. I've just picked the dirt because it's yellow, and that's a little bit silly. But I think it is actually the best Overdrive emulation that Guitar Rig has to offer anyway. So let's give this a run, and I'm constantly twiddling this drive knob. It seems every time I turn this thing on I'm messing with it. Let's see what we've got. Really nice. Somewhere in between the two extremes of the bias, the gentle, the ability to dial the bias effect right down and have just a beautifully warm overdrive. The amplitude had a little bit more attitude, right out of the gate. It was gutsy and a little bit nasty. And this one seems to be able to sit quite nicely in that sweet spot in between those two. So pretty nice. That's quite a nice overdrive. Let's just jump somewhere else randomly and give it another. What's going on over here? This is a slightly more active kind of solo thing. See what the amplitude can do with that riff. I have dialed that in a bit, haven't I? And this one is just... that's the dirtier of the two. This pedal, I really do. I like the fact that it doesn't try to do anything too much. That I've got, the same controls, the same knob settings for those three units essentially, and yet it's much more understated. Now then, the elephant in the room, we've got a bit of a problem here. This is Plugin Alliance's offering, and the issue that we have is that the yellow drive out of the box is just cosmically underpowered. It cannot do the job. Look at the volume. It's about minus 12 dB, minus 8 to minus 12. Wrong. If I turn the overdrive off, it jumps up in volume. Now you might be thinking, well, you've got the drive turned all the way down, you numpty. Can't do it. It can't get back up to the original volume without anything on. So you should not have a situation where your overdrive pedal, when everything is turned up to 12, okay, I didn't turn the tone up, come on, sue me, can't compete with the amplifier's own natural tone. It's absolutely insane. So what I ended up doing was dropping some of the power soak. We've got a 12 dB power soak here, which is basically just like throwing volume away. So I was setting that to 0, then turning my overdrive on. And that gets you into the territory there where it's actually a usable effect. So we're looking for about minus 14, minus 15. But listen to it. Don't like it. It's just really, really nasty. So really big thumbs down on that one, I'm afraid. So what I then did was have a bit of a look through the Plugin Alliance offering to say, well, if I want you to still be able to play, you know, you want to be able to join the party, I looked for the nearest overdrive emulation that Plugin Alliance offer in their subscription bundle. That gets me somewhere near an OD sound, and I ended up choosing this fella, the Big Al, which is apparently an emulation of a load of spare pieces of equipment from like 30s radio systems, all these huge unctuous valves that some very clever person put together in a box, a completely unique bespoke thing, and then they modelled it. So an absolutely fabulous idea. Get this back to minus 12. And what you get is a really warm, lovely sounding overdrive sound. So this is a complete cheat, but you know, there are no rules. All we're trying to do is have fun and get a nice overdrive, a Boss OD sounding overdrive. Let's have a listen to this. Of nastiness, and it's quite similar to the Bias in that respect. It's quite a warm sound. I've dialed in something that you kind of feel like you want to cuddle this one. You know, it doesn't feel like it wants to be pushed too hard. So let's get some of these loops up and running, and we can have direct head-to-head comparisons of each of the various sounds. my new test sample sounds, I wanted something with that big open ringing E. So I want to be able to stress the big full massive sound where you've got lots and lots of just pure volume going in. So I wanted a big open ringing chord. Getting quite fond of this dirt, it sounds quite good. This is a new solo line, slightly more active than the previous pretty languid blues solo. Just wanted something with a little bit more punch, a little bit more clearly defined. So when we go on to move, I actually recorded this one for the next episode where we're dealing with distortion. I wanted something with a little bit more punch to it. But it sounds fine, for the overdriven stuff. I've completely screwed all of my volume equalization now. I'll try to do it manually. Volume's creeping up as it always does. want that out of my overdrive. So of the basically 6 sounds that we've heard today, this is probably my least favourite. I'm not sure if this is going to make the cut. I think the vintage overdrive definitely goes through to the next round. The amplitude ones, it's really difficult to pick between the 2 overdrive sounds. I think the Satch drive's just got maybe a little bit more attitude about it, but they're both great. And obviously having the extra flexibility from the tone control, there's nothing to be sniffed at. And this thing, even though not a faithful emulation, I'm really quite enamoured with it. I think it's quite nice. So as I'm settling into this thing, I'm definitely coming to the conclusion that I made the right decision not trying to have 4 identical emulations. That's really not what I'm interested in at all. I can work out later what combination of things is supposed to work well together. I also understand that, you know, the Amplitude has its room modelling stuff. There's absolutely nothing stopping me sending the bias overdrive into the Amplitude amp and cab system. You know, all of those options are available to me, but I'm not interested in that Cartesian product nightmare right now. I just want to hear them head to head and see what each of the packages has got to offer. So that's the yellow boss dealt with. In the next episode, we'll deal with the orange boss. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit the like button. I'll see you for the next one. Thanks very much.